I need everybody in the comment bar below to type in your name and your city and state where you're tuning in from, because we simply like to know who's here on the show with us. We got Facebook live streaming. We got 2 different YouTube channels live streaming. And I tell you, folks, I'm just so kind of excited about the special guest that I've got today, my good friend Gary Boomershine. We've got him on standby over in the green room. And I'll tell you why you want to stay on today's show. You for sure. Hello, Salim. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Let me tell you, folks, you want to stay on this show because my good friend and colleague, Gary Boomershine, he's only mailed out in his company over 40 million pieces of direct mail. He's also outbound called over 2 million motivated sellers for his clients and customers, i.e. real estate investors. Chad, all the way from Colorado. Welcome, Chad, here to the show. Kevin Wade from Ohio. Dan Overman, all the way from Indiana. Welcome to the show, folks. As you're coming in live right now on the live stream from Facebook or our YouTube channels, be sure right now below the video, type in your name, your city and state as to where you're tuning in from, because we want to know where you're from. My special guest today, Gary Boomershine, is going to blow you away with how you can get motivated sellers to sell you their house over the telephone. That's right. We are here in the midst of coronavirus. Things are different. So guess what, folks? We got to be different. And when it comes to being different, I don't know anybody else better qualified to talk with us today about how we can adapt and got to adapt. We've got to innovate today in order to dominate tomorrow in the midst of these uncertain times. And it's changing every day. So welcome to the show. As you're coming in right now, as you're coming in on the live stream, either on Facebook or our YouTube channels, type in your name in the comment bar below right now, along with the city and state that you're from. We want to know where you're from, because in just a moment, I'm going to be bringing in Gary Boomershine. So with that, Scott, let's go ahead and officially kick off this show. I'll introduce Gary and we can bring him on.
Here we go.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Investing with Jay Conner. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, coming to you from Morehead City, North Carolina. You may be tuning in right now on the live stream on our Facebook channels, on our YouTube channels, or you may be listening to our podcast on iTunes or Google Play. If you are, be sure and come right down below and subscribe, rate, and review. We love to get your feedback, and we love your 5-star ratings that you give us. We have well surpassed now well over 200,000 downloads and listens, and so we've got quite a movement going on here with the show. If this is your first time to tuning in to the show, we talk about all things related to real estate investing. Now, on today's show, you don't want to go anywhere, because my good friend Gary Boomershine is my special guest. He's going to be talking to you about how to survive and thrive in the midst of coronavirus. He's going to talk to you about how to buy houses over the telephone from motivated sellers. Talk to you about how he has mailed out over 40 million pieces of direct mail, how he's outbound called over 2 million motivated sellers. I'm going to be bringing Gary on here in just a moment. But before I do, if you're just now tuning in and you're on the live stream, be sure and type in your name and your city and state right below the video right now, everybody, so we can see where you're coming in from. And here is Joe, all the way from New Jersey. Joe, welcome to the show. So if you're new to the show, we talk about all things real estate investing. I'm known as the Private Money Authority because back in 2009, I was cut off from the banks with no notice when the global financial crisis was going on. And wow, was that a blessing in disguise. In less than 2 weeks of being cut off from the banks, I was introduced to this wonderful world of private money. And I was able to raise over $2 million in less than 90 days, gave myself a raise. And since that time, since 2009, I've never missed out on a deal because I didn't have the funding. It was a blessing in disguise in the midst of crisis. And guess what, folks? Here we are in the midst of another crisis called the coronavirus crisis or pandemic. And guess what? Without giving any disregard to those who have lost lives and the family members of those that have lost loved ones, we acknowledge that. We pray for you. It's a horrible thing. Not one death is acceptable. On the other hand, there's going to be good that comes from this, and there can be opportunities for all of us to serve other people in a big way. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The reason we're going to be talking about serving people in a big way today is because my guest, Gary Boomershine, his whole foundation of himself personally as a person and also his business's core value is servant's heart. Rick from New York City, welcome to the show, Rick. So before I bring on Gary, I want everyone to take note. I've got a free gift for you right now in the midst of coronavirus. I have got a 1 hour, it's actually closer to 50 minutes. I've got a free online on-demand training for you right now that will teach you the 5 steps of having no private money to fund your deals to all the private money you can use, regardless of what your hard money lender or your broker or banker would tell you. As we know, here in the midst of coronavirus, you got hard money lenders that have stopped lending. They put their lending on pause. So right now is the time to be raising private money. And I can tell you exactly how to do it at this free online class. Go right on over after the show to www.jayconner.com/money podcast. That's www.jayconner.com/money podcast. And we will plug you in to funding your deals, which you can utilize right now in the midst of coronavirus. With that, I'm so excited, folks, to introduce you to my special guest, Gary Boomershine. Before I bring him on, let me tell you just a little bit about Gary. I've had him on my show before. He was one of the top rating guests I've had since we launched this podcast in June of 2018. Just a little bit about Gary. I mentioned to you, he has got a done-for-you service on direct mail and outbound calls. He's done over 40 million direct mail pieces for real estate investors. He has done over 2 million outbound calls for his real estate investor clients. So he started back in 2005. He founded what he calls realestateinvestor.com. And quite frankly, Gary is on a mission to revolutionize the real estate industry and to reinvent how agents and investors do business today. So he works with, he and his team works with real estate agents, works with real estate investors on how to make more money while working less. And he's just an amazing guy. He's got a knack for staying out in front of what's emerging and what's changing. For that reason, Gary has just recently established a special free Facebook group that he's going to tell you about in just a moment that you can go to and sign up for. And this purpose of this Facebook group is to keep you informed on an ongoing basis as to what's changing in the community of real estate investors as relates to coronavirus and what's going on in the community. So with that, my good friend and colleague and brilliant real estate investor, mentor, and coach, Gary Boomershine. Gary, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's awesome to be here, Jay. So glad to be here and in the midst of this kind of crazy thing that's going on with all of us. This I call it the cerveza bug, the coronavirus, the cerveza bug, COVID-19. So no, it's interesting, and you know, it's interesting to watch. I mean, a lot of us, and you know, Jay, you've been around for a long time. I've been full-time real estate investing since 2004, but doing real estate my whole life. You know, real estate's been a 7-year cycle for over 100 years. I've been talking about this. I think I have probably 100 episodes of my own podcast, realestateinvestor.com Huddle. And I think almost every single one of those episodes, I talk about the 7-year cycle. It's been a 7-year cycle for over literally 100 years. And this is the longest cycle that we've actually had. We've been in sort of euphoria, and that planning around the coming of the market change, because there's massive transformations of wealth during these times. And really, my mission has been preparing all of us for what's to come, and then how do we position ourselves. I call it the 3 Ps. We're talking the 3 Ps with our own members, which is protect, pivot, and profit, and how to do that in our families, as leaders in our communities, and leaders in our business, and all those types of things. And so definitely interesting times, Jay, right?
Well, I've never seen anything like it. Nobody living right now has seen anything like it. I mean, there's never been anything like it. So speaking of that, Gary, by the way, I want everybody to make Gary feel extra special. So on the live stream right now, if you're on the live stream, everybody right now type in the comment bar below, welcome Gary. Everybody right now type welcome Gary in the below the video. We want our special guest to feel welcome. Everybody type right now, welcome Gary. Dennis from Philadelphia, welcome to the show. And folks, don't go anywhere, because Gary's going to be giving out a fantastic free gift for everybody tuning in here on the live stream or listening to the podcast or on any of the replays. Gary, yes, as you just said, there's never been anything like this. So here's my first question for you. What are you and your team and your real estate investing clients doing different today than they were 4 weeks ago to do real estate deals?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, we are practicing social distancing. But I'll tell you what social distancing means for me. If you go to Real Estate Investor Beacon, which is our Facebook page, I'll give it to you in a few minutes. But social distancing, me, my family, and a lot of us real estate investors and agents are social distancing ourselves from watching the crazy TV, right? I call it fear porn, because people are absolutely panicked, right? You see it all over the news. Social distancing from being in my office too much. So I've been getting out at the park and walking. In fact, it's been amazing to see how many people that are out and about in my neighborhood. I'm in California. And so that's first and foremost. In terms of change, this is, it's interesting. There are this is a very interesting time that I think we don't really know what the next couple of months are going to look like. History is gives incredible clues to the future. But what we're seeing right now, the active, seasoned investors are taking advantage right now of this current market, while they're seeing a lot of their competitors panicking and freezing and not doing anything, right? A lot of the competitors are basically out of the market, watching on the sidelines. We're seeing that there was a huge move in real estate called the iBuyer movement. So people that have been watching Zillow and Open Door and OfferPad, that's called instant buyer. Basically, people, big companies, institutional investors have been making offers, and it's been $3 trillion of money that has been available for sellers to sell their houses. Probably the biggest competitor for agents and investors in this last cycle, and that is push button gone. So imagine $3 trillion that's out of the market right now, and we're also seeing a lot of sellers that are a lot more motivated, that are panicking. Maybe they're not getting the rents. Maybe they got a portfolio and they're starting to have concern for not having rental income right now. And so we're actually seeing the people that are active in this business right now are getting incredible deals at lower prices. So that's what we're seeing. The second thing I'll share is follow-up off of the existing leads that you have is gold. We're finding that all of us, that's what we're promoting and telling everybody, hey, start working on this. You're going to be shocked at how well this works. And why? Because my business partner and I have been doing it. We're doing it with our existing realestateinvestor.com members and a lot of other people in our sphere that we're close to. We're going back to the old leads and we're re-engaging with them typically through some technology of sending out text messages, sending out ringless voicemail, emails, and having a phone person. We call that a lead processor, or an inside sales agent reaching out. We're finding that the old leads are actually regenerating. People that said that they were not interested are now suddenly starting to be interested. So this is not a time, from my perspective, to be totally sitting on the sidelines. I think there's an opportunity to kind of revisit your business plan, get clear that this market is going to change, and do some reflection and get our house in order. But this is really not a time that I think that people should be fully sitting on the sidelines. Now, are we actively buying and taking down a lot of deal flow? No, wholesaling is incredible. A lot of our guys and gals are actively wholesaling. That's kind of their primary business right now. And then we see the opportunity for lending, becoming the private lender, because we think that a lot of the money is going to start disappearing down the road over the next handful, the next 12 months. So learning how to be a private lender is an opportunity, learning how to buy creatively, because we believe that there's going to be a lot of opportunities. History has shown this, being able to pick up incredible deals where the seller is willing to finance. We're seeing that right now. I've been doing that for a dozen years, but we're starting to see more of that. And if you're positioned well, I think this is going to be an incredible market for us going forward.
If you're just now tuning into the show, my special guest today is Gary Boomershine. He's out of California. He is the founder and CEO of realestateinvestor.com, and he has a plethora of services. His company's done over 40 million pieces of direct mail. He has outbound calling services to motivated sellers, done over 2 million outbound calls. So if you're just now joining on the live stream, go right below the video right now, type in your name and your city and state. We'd love to see where you're from. And even more importantly now, we've got a ton of people that are live right here on the live stream. So any questions that you have for Gary, be sure and just type your questions in the comment bar below the video, and Gary will get your questions answered. Gary, you just mentioned follow up with your seller leads, your old seller leads that you weren't able to do deals. What would be your recommended approach when you call these people back up? Here we are, we got coronavirus going on. What would that conversation or that follow-up phone call sound like?
Yeah, so I have a team that does that right now full time. I think we're currently doing about 750,000 outbound dials. These are existing leads that we're following up on behalf of a lot of our members. And so typically the follow-up, and I can give the script that we're using for people if they want to do it themselves, or they can just come and use a service like realestateinvestor.com. But I'm happy to give the script. The script is, typically it's calling back the seller. Hey, we spoke recently about possibly buying your house. Or we like to use the word property typically when we call versus house, because they may actually have triplexes, they may have apartments, they may have vacant property and land. So, hey, we recently spoke to you about buying a property, and we wanted to, we're still looking for a few more properties this month, and wanted to find out if you've had any more thoughts about selling, and using that as the icebreaker. And that's been working. We've been going back to people that said, remove me from the mailing list, right? These are existing leads, typically, not cold calling, cold leads. We're talking about the existing leads. There's an old rule around marketing, direct mail. You know this, Jay, you've been around this for a long time, but Dan Kennedy, sort of the godfather of direct mail for pretty much every industry, said the best leads that you'll ever have are those that you've already spoken with. And the 80% of the profits come through follow-up. 80% actually come between the 5th and the 12th interaction with the seller. And less than 10% of any investors or any agents follow up more than twice. Mm-hmm. So I want to repeat that. That's huge. 80% of all the profits come between the 5th and the 12th interaction, mm-hmm. yet less than 10% ever follow up more than twice. So that script is very easy. We're finding, I mean, this is a house I'm living in. I bought creatively in 2010, east of San Francisco in a nice area. And this was a lady that wanted to be removed from the list. So she called concerned. She got a handwritten letter from us, from our service. And my wife and I were actually looking to upgrade houses in this particular area. And she asked to be removed from the list. We called her, had a very nice conversation. Turned out that my wife was in the same church group with her, a ladies group. And we put her on a follow-up sequence automated follow-up, and the third follow-up letter she got, she actually called and said, hey, are you still interested in buying? And that's the house that we bought. So go back to all the old leads first. That's especially with this COVID-19, go back to those leads. You want to re-engage with them, and you'll find incredible opportunities related to that. A lot of our, we're also seeing a lot of people that are doubling up on their direct mail right now, especially the bigger investors that have been doing this. They are not sitting on the sidelines. They're taking advantage of the fact that, hey, the market's turned. They're going to have a lot of competition that's out, and a lot of sellers that are now starting to think about, hey, maybe this is a good time. We're finding inherited properties that are vacant are the gold mine right now. So inherited. Why I say that, because a lot of the properties that are occupied are harder to show with this whole COVID virus. So being able to go after vacants, inherited properties, burned out landlords, those have been very, very good ones.
So on following up or making outbound calls, you've got an outbound calling service. How does that service work? Where does the list come from? How does your team interact with your real estate investing clients? Just overall, how does your outbound calling service work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's not one flavor fits all. We take a very holistic, personalized approach with each of our members. We call them members because, there's also an interview process. We want to make sure that we're a good fit for them, and they're also a good fit for us, because we don't want to generate, sellers that these people are making commitments to, and then our members are not following through on their promises. Our brand is very important to us. So we, realestateinvestor.com, we have kind of some flavors. We have we actually merged, we acquired a couple of companies, software companies in this business. Property List Manager and Investor PO was owned by Robert Seifert. So we actually went through a purchase, acquisition, and merger of our businesses under realestateinvestor.com. So it starts with a software follow-up system. The system is what is really key. It's the platform to run our business as an investor or agent, primarily for marketing and sales. And that's a low-cost system, $100 to a couple of $100 a month, depending upon the need. And then we have what's called managed. So there's touch, grow, and managed. And managed, people used to know that as REI Vault. That was the former name of the business that I ran. And that's the staff. That's the team of experts that people can tap into and borrow our team to run the systems. And so we have a phone team as an example. We call them sales ninjas. So as the leads come in, and we can generate the leads for our clients. We do that for a lot. I think we send out about 1.5 million pieces of direct mail as an example a month. So we can manage all that mail to make it the best, most consistent flow of leads. And then when those leads come in, they come into a software system that then automates all of the follow-up, all the text messages, exactly what the text is to say. So as an example, if somebody comes in from an OnCarrot website, or they come in from a direct mail, they're going to go down different routes depending upon the type of lead. Like somebody calls in off a direct mail and they hang up. That's going to get a very different response from somebody that says that they want to sell their house immediately. So we automatically follow up, and then we can also push that automatically to the phone team, a professional group of people that will get on the phone and call the seller and interview them, typically a 6 to 8 minute interview, professional interview, to qualify them, screen them, and schedule an appointment on behalf of our member. So at the end of the day, most of us in this business are professional investors or agents, and we want to be in front of the money. Is actually talking and closing qualified, ready, motivated sellers. It's not doing all the hard work of marketing and tinkering around with systems and making phone calls. That's like $5 to $10 an hour work. So so people can actually tap into our phone team. It's they can for everything we do, it's going to be about the same price if they were going to hire somebody overseas to do it themselves. I mean, like $5 to $7 an hour. But now you got a professional team. You don't have to hire people. You don't have to train them. You don't have to manage them. People forget about that. They'll hire somebody in the Philippines, and then they forget how much time they have to manage and train and keep those people motivated. So that's what we handle, all of that.
So when a real estate investor hires your team for this type service, does the real estate investor have to provide the list, or does your team provide the list?
We have a combination of both. I would say 80% of our clients have us pull the list. We are absolute experts in the industry. We've got more experience than anybody on how to make direct mail work. The type of piece to send, the perfect words, whether to put a website or no website on it. We have 2 proprietary mailing lists that we provide our members. Proprietary meaning that you can't go buy this list anywhere. This is kind of follows a science. So we have a list called the Invisible list, the Invisible. And that was actually named by one of our members years ago that said, this list is invisible to my competition, the way we pull it. That's mostly inherited properties, mostly absentee, and mostly free and clear. Mm-hmm. And one additional filter that we've been doing is actually testing it through our software. And this is available to everybody, but we can actually pull the vacants. Now, we have that list. We have another one called Shipwrecked. The Shipwreck list is sort of made up of about 6 lists. People that are recently divorced, recently deceased, people in abatement, code violations, so abatements on their properties. There's also the foreclosure. And then we reverse engineer to pull those based on equity. So we'll pull a list and then we'll filter out equity. And then that's typically what we'll do for our members. Our software now, if people don't want us to do it, our software you can actually just use our software to do data stacking and you can actually pull lists right off of our software. And also recently, over the last 6 weeks, we added the automated skip tracing. So now people can skip trace for phone numbers right through our service. So it's pretty cool.
Do you recommend combining direct mail and outbound calling, both strategies for the same list?
Absolutely. So here's what we would recommend. And number one, let's just talk about what are the best ways to find the motivated sellers right now. So direct mail, outbound text messaging, broadcast text messaging. You got to follow the laws around that. And ringless voicemail, RVM. Also, you have to be very watchful in terms of the laws around that, what state you're doing it. Like you can't do that right now in New York, as an example. So it starts with the list. So you typically will pull the list. We'll do it for our members if they want us to. And then the second piece, we data stack it. So typically you're stacking multiple lists to find out the ranking. It's an algorithm to find, okay, I want to take an absentee list. I want to take a recently deceased list. I want to take an inherited list and a probate list, and I want to stack them through automation. And then I want to find the combination where they're on at least 2 or at least 3 or at least 4 lists. So we'll typically do the data stacking, and then we'll actually skip trace that. So we'll direct mail that list. We'll also cold call it. Some people do ringless voicemail. We actually do that today, but we've actually been working with the attorneys, getting one of the top FCC attorneys, like doing all the evaluation of our software to make sure that we're compliant with the laws. But these work, they're proven, they're scalable, they're predictable, and measurable. Like, direct mail works. It's worked. It's time tested. And typically you spend $1, depending upon what your real estate strategy is. You spend $1 on marketing on direct mail. You're typically, if you're a wholesaler, you're typically like $4 to $6 or higher in return on investment. So spend $1, make $4, or spend $1, make $6 is how it works. If you're buying creatively as an example, most people spend $1, you're probably making closer to $20 over the long haul.
The services that you provide, Gary, are really, really turnkey and all inclusive. At what point in time does the real estate investor himself or herself actually get involved with the lead after you all have started the marketing process?
Yeah, it's so funny. That comes up a lot. There are a lot of people say, "Hey, you do all this stuff. What have you left for us to do?" And we don't close the deal. So we can take it all the way to the point of like divvying you up a fully screened, motivated seller that says, "Hey, I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's vacant. It would rent for approximately this much, and this is the least amount that I'd want for if you were to give me a quick offer." And so, and an appointment. So they're putting you on appointments, and it's your job as the client, the real estate investor, to go negotiate it and get the deal, and then take it from there. So, and by the way, that's at the end of the day, you can automate everything. You can have a team to do everything. But the one thing that you cannot automate in this business is you got to talk to people. You know that, Jay. A lot of people, they try to do everything except talk to the sellers. And that's where all the money is, right? And so we do everything to get people to talk to people, and that being in front of a seller is $1,000 to $10,000 an hour, work, where people so that they don't have to spend the time doing the $10 an hour work, pulling lists and things.
Exactly. Excuse me, Gary, I got a frog in my throat. So, Gary, can you read Rick's question?
All right. My question is, with what is occurring, and it appears many folks are not working, do you think people are buying properties and not working? Do you think, oh, that's a great question. Okay. So what we're finding for everybody, this comes up all the time. We are definitely seeing deals that are being done right now. However, there are some buyers, depending upon the particular market. Some of the buyers, like a lot of the rehabbers and some of the fix and flippers, are in the coastal markets. If that's their primary business, we're actually seeing some of them changing their buying criteria. So, instead of buying at like some, a higher after repaired value, we're seeing them start to reduce those numbers. Where we're really seeing the activity with the buyers is on the rental properties. We are not seeing a real turnoff on people that are still buying properties for cash flow. So what we're recommending everybody do, like our clients, our members, and the people that follow Robert and I, is to reach out to their buyers. This is a really good time to re-engage their buyers and add more buyers to their list. We're not seeing a change on that. The other thing that's interesting, we are not seeing a lot of people who were getting hard money, private money. We are not seeing a slowdown on the private money. So the hard money lenders, I'm not talking necessarily about all the institutional investors, but a lot of the hard money lenders are still lending. I know this because I am a hard money lender, and I'm funding a deal today. Funding a deal for $453,000 in California. And a lot of us, a lot of people that just got crushed on Wall Street, and a lot of people that have concerns about having their cash in the bank, they want to get them into lending. So there's a lot of money going into the hard money, private money arena right now, and I don't see that changing in the foreseeable time frame. So as long as that money is available, the buyers are still buying.
Gary, I'm experiencing the same thing. Over the past 3 weeks, I've had more private money from, I call mom and pops, individuals that either already have private money with me or their friends are wanting to get private money with me. So there's a huge opportunity right now to educate people on what private money is and to actually get more private money for your deals. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I've been talking about this for years. I've been looking to this market. A lot of us have been moving out of, fix and flip and rehabbing into wholesaling as a hedge around a downturn. I mean, this market, this real estate market, we've been in a euphoric stage of real estate. And also what's interesting is if we look at the 7-year cycle over the last 100 years, the cycle has changed. And I've been talking about this. If you listen to me, I've been talking about this. It has never been natural supply and demand. It has always been a external event. And I actually use the word boogeyman event. So you can take that however you want, but it has been an external event. We had, the mortgage crisis that popped out of nowhere, right? All of a sudden, everything is great with the industry. The federal Greenspan, Alan Greenspan came out and said, hey, everything is great with the subprime mortgage, and boom, banks fail. 7 years almost to the day, the Shemitah calendar, if anybody actually follows it, which is kind of interesting, was 9/11, an external event. You can go back, the oil embargo, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Depression, all the way back. It's always been that. So I've been saying, hey, natural supply and demand, usually the curve. So let's probably gear up. And it just happens that, we've got the cerveza bug that we're dealing with right now. I think my prediction is this is a great market right now to be wholesaling, not to be loading up unless you get incredible rental opportunities. I think the market, and what I've been looking at historical research, not that I have any crystal ball, but watching these cycles and patterns, is that we're going to see over 18 months a decrease in value. And in some areas, like the coastal areas, probably greater than the linear markets, like the center of the country. Even North and South Carolina, I think, are fine. Those are the markets that have been pretty stable during downturns. But then massive inflation, and you want to be an asset. So I think the property values are going to absolutely skyrocket over the next 10 years to a point where most people in the US will not be able to afford houses, and those are the ones we want to be in. So right now, over the next couple of months, 4, 5, 6 months, a great wholesaling market, great opportunity to make money, and then start building up a portfolio. And I believe in cash now, cash flow, cash later. And looking at our real estate portfolio in those 3 buckets, cash now being kind of flipping properties, wholesaling properties, cash flow being lending and rentals, and then cash later is the massive appreciation buildup of ownership, right? Of how to truly become wealthy and rich over the long haul, generational wealth. So I think this is an incredible market for people that are well positioned right now, and especially if you're learning how to do some of the creative deals, which we're sharing our model of how we do it with our clients.
Gary, thank you so much for being here on the show with us today. And please let everybody know about your free gift that you have to offer everyone and how they can claim it.
Yeah, so I was actually speaking at an event right before this whole thing happened in front of 400 people, and it was basically how to build a business, this real estate business, how to build a business that works for you, for us. So easy to get trapped as a workaholic. I know firsthand, and so I walked through, and I actually recorded that, and that's available on our Facebook page that I'll give to everybody. But at that event, I gave away a whole bunch of free stuff, that tools and things that have helped me really reinvent my life, as I wanted to share with other investors. I've got scripts. I have everything that you want to know and everything we've learned around direct mail and lead generation. I had all of our tips and techniques is in a guide, a definitive guide on direct mail, scorecards, all kinds of good stuff. So I'm going to give out that number. It'll probably pop up on the screen here. There it is. 925-320-3080. Now this is a text. What you want to do is you want to get your phone out right now. Don't know how long this will last, so you'll want to get it out right now and just text. You can put your name in there. You can say Jay, just so that we know. But we're not going to be marketing to you. It's just within about 10 minutes, you'll get an email or you'll get a text message with a link with all of the gifts. But that number is 925-320-3080. And just text that number. and in about 10 minutes, you'll get a response. That's actually using our software system, the same system we use, realestateinvestor.com, with our members. And the reason it takes 10 minutes is that whenever you're interacting with a seller or a buyer, we automate all that on the buyer side too. You want it to look as real as humanly possible. And so you wouldn't want a response that's instantaneous, because people would know that that's an automation. You want it to be human, and so we wanted to just show you what it looks like coming out of our system. So and then if anybody needs any help, great place to go. We did this just for the COVID-19 group of keeping us all connected. You can go out to our it's a public Facebook group. We're live on it for a couple hours a week, free training. We don't sell anything there, but that's facebook.com/groups/REI Beacon, or you could just search for it. It's Real Estate Investor Beacon. And we love feedback, love comments, what you need help with. And just like Jay, we're interviewing our friends and people that are doing this business today and sharing what's working and what's not.
Gary, I only got to 10% of my questions, so may I have you back on the show very soon to have you on for part 2?
Absolutely, Jay. It's always a pleasure, and I love having you on our show as well. It's great to be with great people and in an industry that is, gosh, you know, it's done so much for you, it's done so much for me, and it's an opportunity to give back to all of us.
Well, Gary, I love your heart. I love how it is you are always seeking for ways to serve people. Birds of the same feather flock together. Folks, as we wrap it up, one more time, to take advantage of Gary's free gift and free guides, text 925-320-3080. For those of y'all listening to the podcast, one more time, text 925-320-3080, and just put there in your text, you can put my name, Jay, or you can put Gary's guide. In either case, about 10 minutes after you text, his free guide will be sent back to you. Also, take him up on his free offer on his Facebook group, which is called Real Estate Investor Beacon. Just go to Facebook and search for Real Estate Investor Beacon, and you'll find him there. Gary, God bless you, my friend. I love you, brother, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Amen, Jay. And you know, 1 Timothy 1:7 says, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of love and of self-control. And I always love that. I've been sharing that with our group, and especially right now at this time for so many of us, I'm seeing a connection like I've never seen. You know, it's a lot of us have been, and I think that a lot of good is going to come out of this in the uncertainty times. And so appreciate all of you. And God bless you, Jay.
Thank you, Gary. All right, folks, there you have it. I'm Jay Connor of the Private Money Authority, wishing you all the best. And here's to taking your real estate investing business to the next level. We'll see you on the next show, and bye for now. Okay, folks, for those of you that are still here on the live stream with us, Rick and Marie and Peter and Cheryl and everybody else that joined us, Gary, thank you for staying on here for another second. We're going to be live again in 5 minutes, folks. So Scott, producer Scott, come here to the forefront for a second. For everybody that's still here on the live stream, how do they take advantage of getting on the next show in 5 minutes live?
Oh, that's a great question. If you're on our Facebook page, just stay there and or refresh it, and you should see down there something saying going live soon. And if you're watching on YouTube, then just go to our YouTube channel, and you should see there coming live in 5 minutes. So stay on the channel.
Oh, thank you, Scott. So y'all, we're going to be live again in 5 minutes. So Gary, I was absolutely serious. I'd love to have you back on very soon. So Scott, would you reach out to Gary and his team and get him rebooked pretty soon so we can, I just got a lot more questions for Gary, and he's just so valuable to my listeners.
Awesome.
You bet. I'll send something off today, Gary.
Awesome. Really look forward to it. All right, fellas. And I'm jumping on to ours to do exactly the same thing. So I'll chat with you soon.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. Talk to you soon. All right, Scott. So you're going to send me a new StreamYard, right?
That's right. And we'll see you in 3 minutes.
All right. Everybody else that's live, just stay on Facebook, stay on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next show in 4 minutes.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.